What's your thoughts on government cover-ups or covert societies attempting to control humanity? Do you believe in ancient astronauts, intergalactic communication, or extraterrestrial visitations? Ever had an experience with disembodied spirits or the paranormal universe? Are these subjects fact or fiction? Each week, Tony and Eddie explore these unbelievable realities and beyond. Exclusively on Truth Be Told.
Welcome back to Truth Be Told with Tony and Eddie, where we believe in experience becomes truth. I'm your host, Tony Sweet, and joining me now in studio, your other host, world-renowned psychic Eddie Connor. But first, we're going to take a word from our sponsor, Earth Friendly Products. For over 40 years, Earth Friendly Products have brought you the greenest home for all your family needs. Learn more at ecos.com. That's ecos.com.
And while you're at it, take your mind on a literary journey over to adventuresunlimitedpress.com to purchase books from many of the famed experts featured right here on Truth Be Told. Today in the studio, we have author and pet psychic Maryam Faresh. She's an animal advocate, and she's on a mission to give rescue animals the life they deserve. Maryam was a gifted psychic with tremendous intuitive ability to communicate with pets and loved ones early on in her life. In fact, at the age of 18, she used this ability to help those in need.
She has also worked with celebrity trainer Cora Whitkind to assist with some of the most difficult animals yet. Maryam's love for animals travels across the oceans, where she is a board member of the Wafa Animal Shelter, the first animal shelter in Iran.
Check out her inspirational children's books, What About Daisy?, Road to Rescue Ranch, and Happiness Is. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together and welcome author and famed pet psychic Maryam Faresh.
Yay. She's here in the house. How are you doing?
Oh my God, that welcome was awesome.
Take it with you.
Can we do that again?
Yes, okay, one more time. Well, so excited to have you here.
Yeah.
And I've seen you on a couple other shows here at UBN, and so I thought, we need to have her here. We've had a pet psychic on before, but when I saw you work with a couple of our other shows, I was so impressed.
Thank you.
And I thought we need to have you meet Eddie. Connor.
Hi,
the two amazing psychics. So first of all, we always like to go back to find out where you discovered the gift, the intuitive gift that you have. So tell us, where are you from, and when did you realize your gift?
Well, I'm originally from San Francisco, but I'm half Persian, and I have two interesting stories about when my mom realized. One was when I was very young. I mean, I was born with it, so I don't remember not having it.
Yeah.
But I predicted the death of one of my uncle at the time, who obviously hadn't passed yet, and so she was like, "Oh no, what's happening?" And my mom's very open-minded, so she knew. But when I was in school, they were testing me because they said I didn't learn like the other kids. And so they were running all these tests, and I would get all the answers but not work the problems out. And so they called my mom and were like, "Is there something wrong with her? She's getting all the answers, but she's not working out any of the problems." And they were freaked out, but my mom was like laughing inside and going, okay. They still put me in classes with special needs kids, which is where I think my affinity for special needs animals and children came from. I loved it. I didn't care.
Yeah.
I had a blast. I had one friend who was deaf, and that was normal life for me. But that's where it started, and I was blessed to have a mom who nurtured it in me, or else it could have gone a very difficult direction.
A lot of parents don't always understand it and try to. It's kind of like when somebody's a left-hander, they try to force them to be a right.
Exactly. They did that to my dad. So
oh,
yes,
really?
Exactly.
Okay.
Yes.
Wow. Yeah.
So, it started there, and I got into dance and moved out to LA as a dancer, and was a salsa dancer with Alex
salsa.
De Silva, who's now in prison. He was the judge on So You Think You Can Dance, and it was so weird. I was watching them take him away on the news, and I was like writing my children's book, and I was like, how weird that I'm writing a kid's book and he's going to prison, which really made sense, but it was surreal, you know.
That'll be in your memoirs.
Totally.
That's hilarious.
But I started dancing. I put my gift to the side for a while. It was really a hard journey for me with that, as it probably is for a lot of people. And so I put it away for a bit and then came back to it and then put it away. And but always read. Was always, you know, once people know you're a reader, they track you down.
Yes, they do. That's why we don't go to parties and cookouts.
Yeah.
I am not going to let you eat your hot dog and talk about your dead grandma.
That's exactly what. Yeah, it is. Well, the best part too is though sometimes when you go to parties and my husband's like, "Oh my God, tell me, what did you think? What do you know about that?"
No,
person?
that's fun.
It is. But anyway, so then I came back around when I rescued Daisy 7 years ago now. She was born blind and deaf, and she really brought me back to my roots and just the evolution. More so. I mean, I've been, like I said, reading my whole life, but she really had me push it to the forefront.
And did you name her Daisy after you met her, or did she come with the name Daisy?
It was after I met her.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's one of my favorite pet names on the planet. Now, I noticed there's some fairies right here on the cover of your book. What about Daisy? How'd the fairies come into play? Because, you know, I like me some fairies. And not the West Hollywood kind. I like fairies.
Okay, well, I'll tell you since I'm on a show about psychics, it can be weird. I felt fairies around Daisy for the longest time. Okay, so let me back up a little bit. She refused to bond with us. It was a awful situation. The moment I met her at 3 months old, she bonded immediately. She just ran up to my lap and kissed me, but that would be the last time for a couple years. Wow. She was aggressive and distant anyway, and so that's why I was forced to use my psychic ability because nobody could help. And I started to realize, like, as she just refused to bond with us, refused to come near us, and I started to watch and feel and sense that there were like these fairies around her that she was listening to and following and being guided by. And I realized that I needed to have a chat and say, can I step in now and can I guide her and can I be her support? And that's how that went down, and that's how they ended up in the book. So
now, I've done radio since 1993, so I'm a dinosaur. And that's the first time I've ever heard that in over 20-some years. And I'm shocked that I haven't heard it more before. And so my experience with fairies is this, and help me with it. I grew up seeing pinpoints of lights around plants and animals too.
Oh, wow.
And I would see, one time I was walking home from school, and it was after a big rainstorm, and I literally heard this voice, or was guided to get off the road, which you're never supposed to do in the South. Because there's pedophiles. The Budweisers and pedophiles. And then so I jumped off the road, and to grass it was like almost as tall as me, and so it's all wet.
Right.
And so I know I'm going to get a whipping when I get home. But I'm walking down this sort of narrow path, and I'm being told and guided where to go. And I was told to get a stick. And there was this thing, it's as big as my hand, and it was alabaster looking. I'd never seen anything like it before, and it was this weird thing. And it was caught in the muddy water in a ditch that had a lot of running water in it. And they said, take the stick, because I couldn't reach it, and then be gentle. There was the alabaster thing was here, and there's a big stick over it like this, so whatever it was trapped. So I lifted the stick up, and when I did, it was the biggest bullfrog I have ever seen in my life. I know, goosebumps. And then it turned upside down, and it just sort of sat there and got its bearings. It was literally seconds from dying, and then it literally looked right in my eyes, did its ribbit thing, and then hopped away. And I could literally hear, it sounded like millions of little people cheering in a football stadium. I know, right? And then I was just like, oh my God. And then I walked out. That was my first introduction to fairies. Now, for me, fairies are like the angels of the animal kingdom and the plant kingdom. So just like humans have angels, pets have fairies, little fairies that watch over them, that are the angels of the nature realm. That's my opinion.
God, that's amazing. I've never experienced fairies until Daisy.
Oh.
So but that resonates with me. I mean, that makes complete sense, you know, because that was their energy, and that's what they were doing. They were just supporting and guiding, and it was crazy because once I had that communication with them, they stepped off, and that Daisy, sure enough, started to come around. And I mean, it was still a lot of work, but it was like an immediate response.
So they're like they were holding the bridge, being the channel or the catalyst between you and Daisy for a while, until Daisy could trust your frequency.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah.
Oh. What kind of breed is Daisy?
She's a mix. We kind of say it looks like a greyhound gone wrong. I think she. The story is that a breeder. I guess there was a notorious. And mated with a random dog in the neighborhood, so she didn't want the puppies, and she definitely didn't want a blind and deaf puppy, and so she just dumped her. And I guess someone at the rescue had known, they know of breeders, and so they were aware of her, and that's kind of where it started. But she was only 3 months, and then went through a couple different homes until she found her way. But I had, it was funny because 2 days before we found her, I'd said to my husband, I was like, and we were in a 1-bedroom apartment at the time, and I said, there's a dog coming. I feel like there's this really, really special. And he's like, Miriam, we had Louis the 3-legged cat, and then 2 other cats. So we had 3 cats at the time, and Olivia. And I knew we could, but I'm like, I'm just saying, if she appears, then I won't go out looking, right? Sure enough, 2 days later, we're buying dog food, and her picture's up, and Bruce found it, my husband, and he goes, he's to this day he says, I almost didn't say anything, but I could never do that to her, but I almost didn't say anything because he saw Daisy's face and was like, all right, you win again.
Wow.
Here we go. So anyway, I digressed, but what was the original question?
No, it's how you got into this, how it started, and then the question of connecting you to Daisy.
Yeah.
And the fairies.
So there, yeah, and Louis we had first, and he came to us with a cast on his back right leg. It was really hard for him, but he was so strong and so fun to watch him grow, and and then anyway, then I thought, special needs, this is a piece of cake, and then Daisy came along, and yeah.
So what was it? What did it take for you not to give up on Daisy? Because it sounds like 2 years of being aggressive. A lot of people would not put up with that for very long.
Bruce and I rescue for life. It's not optional, And we had said we had resigned ourselves to she may be like a wild animal in the house, and we crate her and feed her and make her as happy as possible, and that's it. But there is every animal. Any animal can be turned around. It just sticking with it.
And what was that first moment that when she was finally receptive to you?
Oh man, we had a trainer that came in and had said to us, he gave us this exercise, which is every night. Well, not a couple times a day, but at nighttime especially. Hold her down with one hand gently, and with the other hand pet her. Well, it's like that's not really a thing with Daisy, and so you have to wear long sleeves and a sweatshirt because she'll scratch and bite and go crazy. And so I would do it for a couple minutes every night, and he said do it until she succumbs, but Bruce got there faster than me. She wouldn't really succumb. She just stopped moving. With me, it was a lot harder because I was much more maternal, and I'd cry the whole time. I was a big baby. And then we just kept at it, and Bruce would do it twice a day. I would do it twice a day. 3 or 4 times a day, she's getting this type of exercise, and then finally we have a picture of me, and I'm just like wasted looking, but I'm standing, and she's in my arms, and I think it's on my website, and her head's drooped over my arms. She passed out. She fell asleep, and I'm like, and it was a Polaroid, so this was 11 years ago, right? So I had Bruce grab the camera, and I'm like, oh my God, she finally did. She fell asleep. She didn't just stop fighting. She actually fell asleep. That was like amazing for us, and that was huge moment. After that, little at a time, she started to come around. But
That's crazy.
that was amazing. It took years to potty train her. I mean, she's still a little nutty with the potty training. I mean, she gets it, but she's not, for some reason, she doesn't get, you know how most dogs know to hold it. It's almost 5 o'clock or whatever. And for some reason for her, she's like, nah, I'm not really into holding it. I'm like, she still kind of has issues with that. But 7 years later, she's the love of my life and the most magnificent spirit I've ever come across. Just like happiest thing in the world. Just fascinating.
Do you think part of your intuition and working with special needs people, like when you were in school and stuff, was it your intuition that helped you sort of acquiesce to them in a way where you instinctively knew what they might need or feel out what they needed the most, even though they might not have been able to articulate it?
Yeah, absolutely. I don't think I knew that then. Yeah, because I was young. But now I love the work. I work with a couple parents with special needs kids who aren't speaking yet, and so I'm able to read them and just work with them on a spiritual level, which is, I love that work. So yes, it actually, transpired into that.
Would you say you're more of an empath? What's your psychic strength? Are you more? I know you're terribly empathic. I mean, very empathic and clairsentient. But what is your ultimate strength as an intuitive?
I say, I tend to say it's reading someone's soul. So why you are here. Yeah. And I know that a lot of people go, well, no one ever really knows why they're here, but I do. I mean, if you sit down, I can tell you why you're here and what that should feel like and look like, and I can't lay out your path for you, obviously, as you know, because that's for them to do the work. But that's just what comes naturally to me, is talk about why you're here.
And do you find that there's the type of clients, we were talking about this before we went live, there are the type of people who come in that want to know often superficial things. And then we also often, because we've been doing this for years, we get the people that want to know the soul part of it. And those are, for the people listening, that's our favorite kind of client to be talking to, or anybody. That's why animals are so great, because they're not walking around going, oh my God, that bitch has a gold-studded collar and I have something from Costco. You know what I mean? Exactly. That would be a funny book, though. That would be. That bitch has a gold-studded collar. That's right. And you're politically correct too, right? So you're an empath and you tune into them on a soul level. Is that you see, hear, sense, know, feel, or a little bit of everything?
That's a great question. I've never really broken it down. But yeah, I definitely hear. Seeing is something that has been happening later for me in life. So no, I that hasn't been a strong thing for me. When I read sometimes though, like I'll every now and then, but that's not by my strength, but feel, hear for sure. Wow.
And I bet you're a knower.
Yeah.
You just know things.
Yes. Yeah.
I think that's the hardest.
It is.
When you just know what you know and you know it, but you don't know how you know it. And they'll go, well, how do you know that? And you go, I don't know.
It's deep. You're like, thanks.
It's just sort of this nebulous nothingness, but I know. Yeah. I love that.
It's when I first met my husband, we've been together 13 years. In the beginning, he used to say, when he would hear my readings, it's like I speak in rhymes and riddles, because sometimes you can't say specific. Sometimes there's this like, not sure why I know and how I know, but I feel like, and he's like, okay, how do I like pick apart the puzzle you just gave me? But it is like that.
It is like that.
But to lead in to more so of how Daisy brought this, my intuition out, based on what you're saying, is knowing we had rescued Daisy, and then 3 months later my nephew passed, and he was alive for about 2 days. And I remember when my family called and said that my sister was giving birth, and I was like, okay, I'm getting ready, to go to work. And I sat in meditation, and I was like, yeah. So then throughout the night, I'm getting, oh, everything's good. And I'm like, maybe I was wrong. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong. Please let me be wrong. Please not, And then my mom called and was like, I know she didn't want to ask me, but she was like, what do you, she couldn't even say the words. And I'm like, I don't know, Mom. I don't know. I'm too close. Plus, what if I was wrong?
Yeah.
But that prediction was the most painful prediction, obviously. And just that shut me down. And I was just like, I am done. And that was right after we rescued her. And, right after I said, I'm done, I am not doing this thing anymore. That's when like everyone started pulling out, and trainers and vets were like, we can't help. And she was getting worse and worse and worse. And we'd only had her for a few months. And Bruce was like, we're up all hours with her. She's up all hours. I mean, it was, so I was forced to go back to it then, so the few quiet moments that I would have with Daisy, it just somehow brought me back and was like, you can't shut it off. You can't.
I find that every really good reader that I've ever met goes through that period where they shut it down. Mine was in my late teens. I'm like, I don't want this anymore. It scares the crap out of me. I felt like Sissy Spacek in Carrie.
Yeah.
And my grandma was like her damn mama.
Right.
So I got tired of getting exorcisms, from relatives. But you shut it off. It never goes anywhere. It's always right there, but we feel good because we think it's gone. The second we pick it back up, it starts right where we left it off at. The thing that comes through for you when you're telling this story is the thing that would have to get you back to the intuition was you had to have an object of affection. And Daisy was your object of affection. And there's a loyalty to our family members that's like no other. There's all these invisible, unwritten laws about family. So if we feel we've accidentally done something that could not make the family happy, we will punish ourselves over it. But the way you took a step back and said, this did me in, but then you had to open it back up. Everything with you is about love and connecting to objects of affection. So your desire to be of service to Daisy was this big, and your being upset was that big.
Fascinating.
So, and
Thank you for
girl,
that.
you're in. Girl, please, you're in it. A good reader. You're a good reader.
Thank you.
I'm excited for you. What's next, actually, for you?
Well, the latest work has been really fun. I've been working with Cora, the trainer, and something started shifting the last few years. And when I would read pets, I used to, people would have, read my pet. And I'm like, I'd read these pets and they were like spoiled rotten. And I'm like, I'm not getting anything. And I thought, maybe I'm like losing my touch. Like, what's going on? I wasn't getting anything. But I noticed that I could read pets anytime they were troubled, because there was something to read. I mean, let's be honest. I mean, if you have a spoiled animal, what's it? My favorite toy is the bone. And it's like, yeah, we all know already. But this was like, that's when the kind of the light bulb went off, and I'm like, but what was fascinating is the animals would start to talk to me and tell me what was going on with their owner, and so I would go in, like this recently we did one, and the pet was like, so my mom's told me she wants me to protect her from anyone else that comes through. She doesn't want loved ones touching her, coming near her. So my job is to get in front and to bark, 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 bark. And so I used, I said that. And of course the mom sat for a minute and was like, well, what? I didn't. And I said, she's not saying you literally said those words.
It's a feeling language.
And she said, well, she's going through a divorce. She's constantly in court. And I was like, that's what started happening is the animals were telling me the problems of their parents, which was why the animal was causing problems, because the parents started it. They didn't mean to, but they set something off, and that's been really fun work because, we get to the heart of what's really causing the problem with the pet. And then Cora comes in and just works on the basics, how do you stop the dog from being aggressive? You deal with the physical. So that's been really fun and really interesting work.
Wow. Do you find that LA pets are more persnickety than, say, Midwestern pets?
No, you know what I've noticed more so yes, you're right. Yes, because Los Angeles, there's this, this sense of it's not me, it's them. It's not me, it's them. Whereas in other areas, you don't get so much of that because I guess I only need a picture to read, so I read all over, and yeah, there's a different mentality, and a lot, not to generalize, but it sucks when, you tell the pet parents this and they're just like, oh, okay, well, I still blah, 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 and whatever. You're just like,
which are the same ones, if they got a reading for themselves, would hear certain things and not use 1 ounce of it to enhance the quality of their life.
Right. You're right. Absolutely.
Girl.
I want to ask, because is it harder to read pets or easier to read pets? Because they're more pure soul than a human.
Yeah, you're right. What's fascinating is it depends on the parent. Because if that parent is shut down, then the pet is, we do, for lack of better words, we do have that much, quote unquote, control over the animal, and that's why it's so important that that animal is allowed to separate his existence from your existence, and why it's our job to pull the energy back and not throw up our stuff all over these animals, and someone might go, well, I don't understand what that means. Well, it means if you have anxiety or you're incredibly depressed or you're going through a divorce, use the time with your animal as a form of release and relaxation. Spend time with the animal doing what the animal loves. Walking is the most therapeutic with an animal. Clear the mind and just focus, and that was when Caesar came out to help us. That was, he talks about the simplicity of the walk, but if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't have been able to walk Daisy and Olivia together, but it was because I put away my cell phone. I make sure I have enough pockets, and focus.
I love that you say that. How many times do you see someone walking the pet that they claim they love more than life itself? And then they're on their cell phone.
Unreal.
And they're pulling the dog as it's trying to do its potty business. If you're just tuning in, you're listening to Truth Be Told with Tony and Eddie. I'm Eddie Connor.
I'm Tony Sweet.
And I'm Maryam Faresh.
And she is an author and a pet psychic. And she believes in fairies like me.
A fairy like you?
Yeah. Gay Pride's over.
Oh, sorry.
Okay.
Is it though?
Rewind. That's a good question. So I do find that a lot of people who I read who have pets, a lot of times the pets are acquiescing to the frequency of the parent.
Exactly.
The pet parent.
Very well said, yeah.
And so if they're frenetic and all kind of like da-da-da-da-da, the pet will mirror that back. It shadows that behavior. And a lot of times I've heard this. Now, I don't know if it's true. I'm going to ask the professional. When sometimes pets will try to take away the pain or the hurt or sometimes even the disease of their parent.
Absolutely. And some situations that is necessary, and that's their job, and that's why they're here.
Yep.
But not all situations, but some, and I probably you may have gone through this too, but with my animals, I've always made a conscious effort to tell them that they do not need to take psychic hits or anything like that. I'm like whispering, like,
like you don't. Every client you've ever had is going to be like, "Hey,
totally." Or illness, like you don't have to take that on. There is that, and you don't have to be a psychic to talk to your pet and tell them. It's making your shit your shit.
Yeah.
And just like you wouldn't put it on a friend. It's like when your friend's like, "Oh my God, shut up already." It's like,
but
same thing.
There are some people who would put it on their friend.
Yes. Yeah.
And then there's some people who would never do that.
Right.
But it is the exact same thing.
Yeah.
And why would you put it on somebody you love who loves you actually more unconditionally than any other human on the planet ever has?
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah. Why would you keep piling it on there?
A lot of people don't know better, as you know. They genuinely don't know better. And in all fairness, in a lot of the clients I read, it really makes them sad when I tell them what their animal's saying. And they're just like, "Oh my God, I never would have wanted," or, and I'm like, sorry, but now that you know, you can fix it. But, they come into our lives to teach us. And I feel like since I've been doing these readings, I feel like this influx of animals and animal rescue, and I know that we're overpopulated, but I feel like that overpopulation is for a reason, because these animals are, becoming these powerful teachers that we didn't allow them to be before. And all of a sudden now they're just changing lives on this massive scale, you know. It was fascinating because when I did a reading for Jackson Galaxy, and when I was reading his dog, what came through was that these animals are developing in a way that they were developing a gift or a trait they didn't have before. So, you know, like Caesar comes from a very, very instinctual, like where animals come from, right? They come from the wolf pack, and all of that obviously is very true. But I was picking up that they're developing these new abilities to connect more human to animal that dogs didn't have before. So now dogs are hearing and feeling and seeing things that they used to not be able to do. But because they are, what is the word I'm thinking of? Where, not breeding, but it's like they develop. Anyway, I can't think of the word, but evolving, yeah, into this different type of species that communicates with a human in a very different way. The communication isn't any longer sit, stay, come. Now it's like, and if you don't mind me telling this quick story, where that started to come from was with Olivia, Daisy's seeing eye dog, because we had Daisy train Olivia because we knew she needed to connect with another animal, you know, canine. And so we allowed her to just kind of train Olivia, and Olivia allowed her to say, okay, show me how you want me to help you. So Olivia goes everywhere with Daisy, and I had to take Daisy to the vet. So I took Olivia with me, and I was coming home, and I was just like, she was still very young, and I was exhausted, and the whole thing was just difficult. And I got home, and Olivia jumps out of the car, and she's wandering around the carport. And I'm trying to get Daisy's head. If you saw Daisy, you'd understand. Like, she does the Stevie Wonder with her head, you know?
Yeah.
And so you can't just take her out of a car. Like, you have to veer the head the right way.
Orient her.
And orient her. And even if she knows the car, sometimes she gets excited. And so, anyway, I was so tired. And I was like, I didn't say to Olivia, come here. Or, you know, I didn't speak to her like an animal. I just said, Olivia, I'm so tired. Can you please not wander around the carport? Because if a car comes around the corner, that's it. Can you just go up to the door and sit there? Like, and I said it like that, practically in tears. And I look up, and she's goes and sits in front of the door. And this is not a dog that really was trained on commands anyway. It's not like she was like this fascinating. But Bruce started to say that he was noticing her doing things like that too, where she would respond to just his. Like, he'd say something like, Olivia, come on, I can't right now with Daisy, you know? And so she'd stop. And it was crazy. And that's when I started to realize that they're communicating with us on a much deeper level now.
Yeah, it feels like soul to soul, direct telepath.
Yeah, you're
direct, right on. Now, I do know that when you're communicating with them, they'll communicate back in pictures, and they receive pictures well.
Really?
Yep. And then that's why they'll say sometimes when you're coming home from work, the puppies start to know when you're coming home.
Right.
Because you're picturing yourself seeing them in just a minute. So as soon as they receive the picture from the distance, they pop up.
Wow.
And that's another reason pets can find their way home. They keep getting closer to the picture.
Interesting.
Warmer, colder.
That's fascinating.
Yeah.
Well, you know, an interesting point about that, because I noticed that too with Olivia, where, you know, so many rescue groups and people will call me when their dog gets lost, right?
Oh, yeah.
And one thing that always bugs me is when people go, oh, my dog will always come back. You know, it doesn't need to be on a leash. It'll always come back. Well, here's the deal. Okay, if your dog is on a leash, your dog can lead you home and will lead you to the pet store. Like, Olivia will walk me. She'll walk me all the way down into the pet store, turn around, go to another pet store, and find the house. Like, she can do that all because she's on her leash and there's no stress, right? But the second she's lost, she loses her sense of awareness, right? So the anxiety kicks in, and they don't know. They just, what is it, fight or flight?
Yes.
But they absolutely have that sense of direction and awareness and can bring themselves exactly to where they need to be. And you're saying like they're seeing pictures, which makes complete sense.
Yeah, and then if they're overstimulated, they're going to see like flash bulbs. And so that's scattered and scrambled energy.
Yeah.
And then if you freak out that they're off the leash.
Yeah.
And I see at least once or twice a week someone chasing their dog down my neighborhood.
Unreal.
And they're always the ones that say, oh, my pet never goes anywhere. Really? And I've seen them run across 5 lanes of traffic.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I've seen them off leashes when there's a coyote sitting down the street like, bring it. No kidding. But
Unreal.
I think it's they're picking up on the freneticness
Yep.
of the owner, and so that compounds the flashbulb of images.
Right. And listen, a dog is a dog is a dog. A dog's going to see a squirrel. I don't care how well trained your dog is. Right.
Well, the other thing is, as human beings, are you a fan of Abraham Hicks?
Oh my gosh.
Oh my God, we're soul sisters. Abraham Hicks says that the average human cannot hold a pure thought for longer than 17 seconds without contradicting it with a negative thought. So if you're an average human, even if you have 17 good seconds of feeling good and you can hold one picture, at the end of 17 seconds, all hell's going to break loose.
Totally.
So keep your dog on a leash
It's so simple.
and love it.
I know. I'm with you 100%.
Wow. So what's the biggest thing, obviously Daisy is, but what's an experience you've had during a reading with somebody that the owner's jaw just dropped open?
Ooh, that's a
And
good
the dog
one.
was like, that's right.
Gosh, I'd have to think about that because a lot of them are pretty, shoot, I don't know. Maybe it might have been a reading I did with a cat more than it was a dog.
And they're definitely
That's a
different
tough
souls.
question.
Oh my God, yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. People
They
make
are
fun of them all
completely
the time. You know how they show all the military men and women coming home and the dogs
Yes.
going crazy and pounding them?
Yes.
Cat's
Then
like,
they showed
whatever.
the guy coming home for his cat. He hadn't seen it in 6 months, and the cat's like, and the guy's like, come here. And the cat just walks out of the room really slowly away from him. So, but there's something about that.
Oh, of course. And that there's a beauty to that. The cats also have this huge ability to teach because of their ability to be independent, their ability to be free thinkers, their ability to get what they want and not hold back, and most of the time when I read people with cats, that tends to be the kind of the story is learn from them more than they don't take in as much as dogs do. They definitely, because they're so much more spiritual and independent, but they're very spiritual already. Like they already have this sense that's more inbred in them dogs. Like I feel like dogs have been developing it more so, whereas cats have it, and that may be why there's this independence, and that may be why cats are like, don't touch me right now, like your energy's awful.
Yeah.
There's just no.
I've never heard it said that way. That's one of the smartest things I have ever heard in 25 years.
Oh,
It really is, because
yeah.
if you've got gunky energy, I don't want you in my face either.
Right.
That is true.
And
How
I'll give
some
you a fur
cats
ball.
are like that.
Yeah.
Have
Yeah.
you noticed that indoor pets are a little more different than outdoor pets?
Yeah. Absolutely. Especially with cats, but yeah, because with dogs, they're more rooted to their instincts and their kind of history when they're outdoor more. Whereas when they're inside, they almost morph into this, even more so of a human existence.
Yeah, that's
okay.
right. They become more human-like.
Yeah, because it's like they absorb into the energy of the human. They mirror it and they mask it, and they own it. Whereas when they're outside, there's this freedom to kind of go
Right.
and explore and be me, and then they come in and
makes
they're
sense.
still like they still own the energy, but there's definitely the ability to separate better. It's funny, to answer your question about the most interesting jaw-dropping one. I read someone who was convinced they had a ghost in their house because their cat was jumping all over the place, and they were like freaked out and was like, our cat has just been following this ghost for so long. And I came in and I'm like, there's no ghost, and your cat's like, leave me the fuck alone. I'm playing because you don't play with me. And it was like, oh my God, like people also jump to these conclusions, right? And it's like,
Yeah.
no, your cat just wants to play. Why can't he's just being a cat. They were like, no, there's a ghost. And I'm like, well, there's no ghost.
I have a friend back in Cary, North Carolina, a friend I've known for, like 25 years now. And I was doing a phone reading for her, and she was asking about her puppy, and we were just talking. I was like, wait. Did you bring a plant from outside inside, like pot it from outside and bring it inside? She was like, yeah, it was a poinsettia. It was after Christmas. I'm like, there's a fairy in that plant, and that's what your puppy is responding to, because I think she was scared it was going to eat the poinsettia leaves.
Right.
Because they're poisonous.
Right.
and it was a fairy in the
Oh, how
poinsettia
cute is
where she
that?
brought it in from outside. And I was like, just open the window, girl. Not that the fairy can't get out because it's
Right.
multidimensional, but
Oh, that is
yeah.
too cute.
And she's like, how did you know that? I'm like, your dog told me.
That is
And I'm
so
not
cute.
an interspecies communicator. I mean, some people are animals,
What'd you look at me
but they're
for?
hard to read. I just put myself in a bubble of white light and I go, bitch, be gone.
Okay, I have a question. Something you said earlier that you said you can look at a picture of a pet. How do you, when you look at a picture, what does the picture have to look like?
You know, it's honestly easier to read animals through pictures than live anyway.
Really?
Yeah, because the animals don't sit still and they're just
Oh, that's
continually
so
moving their
true.
head. I need their eyes. So I always ask for pictures even when the dog's sitting right in front of me. It's easier.
Can I put you on the spot?
Yeah.
I don't. I'm actually house sitting
Yeah.
for a pet,
Okay.
but
Oh, I love this one.
Penny.
But Lord, child.
Okay, don't tell me anything.
Yeah, okay.
Oh gosh, what's the name?
Penny.
Penny.
They should name her Silver Dollar Child.
Okay. Is there a specific question or
No, I
concern?
just
okay.
because I'm just
So-
watching her.
Okay. Well, did you take this picture recently?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. How long are you watching her for? Because she's definitely she doesn't like when her parents leave.
At all.
And she's interesting though because she's got a very like a regal and aristocratic like.
Oh, yeah.
She's well, I'm a princess this time around. I mean, that's just the way it is, right? I
Yep.
am, right? But yet that she has this kind of exterior behavior that's really regal and not uppity, because uppity is kind of snotty. She's not snotty. She knows who she is and she knows how she can be treated. But she's got this heart that, you know, it's like this exterior, but if you do one little thing that bums her out for some reason, I want to say, she's like, oh my God, but my heart's really big. It's like she's a valley girl who acts like she could care less about anything, and I'm too cool, and I love my clothes, and I love going shopping. But if you say one little thing, she's like, oh my God, I love you. Like, my heart's so big. Like, that hurt my feelings. Like, what happened? If she could speak, that's how she would be. But she's having a hard time that they're gone because her heart, something about her heart that is, I almost feel like she had babies or wanted to have babies, or like she should have been around children or puppies, because she's got this huge heart. And she's sad. God, she's really sad when they go. What sucks is when like a lot of times, you know, people say your pets are fine, they're going to have so much fun, and some do and some don't. She's just kind of bummed. Not that she's not happy that you're taking care of
Right.
her, but she gets it. And she's just like, okay, I can't, like, she doesn't want to put on her whole facade
Right.
when they're gone because she's too busy being kind of bummed out.
Yeah,
She keeps saying bummed out. That's why I said, like, is she a valley girl or something?
What's funny, Penny, is I have to say, I grew up having dogs, and they were dogs. You know, we even
Outdoor
had
dogs.
Yeah.
Well, the outdoor and indoor, even the indoor was a little more human-like, but she was a dog. This dog is seriously like a human.
Yeah.
Because most, when you look in their eyes, they look away. She stares and stares
Wow.
and stares
And
and
she's a
stares.
lover, too.
And she'll lick and lick and lick, and but she is sad.
Yeah, but that makes sense because like I kept saying, like, there's something about her heart. Like, she's just got this huge heart, which maybe she feels through there. Like, she's really, really, really and not necessarily intuitive, but just emotional. Just like, and that's probably why you feel like she's very human, because she feels these emotions that are so intense that my dogs don't feel. My dogs definitely don't feel on the level that she does.
Yeah, she's a sweetheart. She's a sweetheart, but she is a Jewish princess.
Okay, I was right. That's funny. That's what I said. That's why I was like,
Yes, no,
Yeah.
they even say that.
You should
Thank you
name
so
her
much
Penny
for that.
Lover.
Penny
Yeah.
Lover. But no, she when I come home and when I finish here, you could leave. 5 minutes later, she acts like you've been gone for 2 weeks.
that's so sweet.
Yeah, and she just jumping around. Oh my god, and whines and whimpers and runs to the door
Aw.
and like lets you out, and then she'll run out, and then she'll look back like, "Are you gonna come out with me?"
So sweet.
Yeah.
She doesn't like being alone.
She
She
doesn't.
likes connecting.
Yeah.
The heart connector.
Yes,
Yeah.
she likes connecting. That's what it is. Exactly.
I wonder if when you're playing on your phone and stuff like that, she comes up and does she nudge you and stuff?
She does this.
Yeah.
Get
She'll
your
take,
attention.
yeah, she'll grab and take her paw and like,
Like she's not that she's being self-centered as
No.
much as it is let's connect.
Yeah.
Put
No.
your phone
Exactly.
down. Look at me.
oh, no, I do.
Tongue
And now,
kiss me.
oh, she does. She loves to. I've never seen it. I mean,
Okay.
dogs like to
All
lick.
right.
But,
It's just getting weird.
I know, like, okay. All right, we have about 5 more minutes left. So you have 3 books. What About Daisy?
With her rescue mom. And then the Road to Rescue Ranch is how she found the rescue mom.
Oh.
Ooh, and
So
what
sweet.
about? And there's a WAG Award winner here.
Yeah, Daisy was a WAG Award winner.
Oh.
Are you serious?
Most inspirational dog with Dogswell, yeah. So cute.
That is
I know.
adorable.
We went and she got her little award and got a little like studded collar. And it's
Oh
ridiculous.
no, I
mean,
love
It was really
that.
sweet.
Oh,
And then there's Happiness Is.
Happiness Is that the first?
He finds the most simple things so amazing, and I feel like those things she finds amazing are what humans should also,
Thank you.
you know. And so Savannah is a deafblind girl, but they love the same stuff and all the same stuff that we love.
If you had it all to do all over again when Daisy first came into your life, is there any one thing you would have done differently, knowing what you know now as a WAG Award winner?
I wouldn't have shut off my intuition. I would have jumped in there right away and owned it to a sister. But everything happens for a reason, so I get that.
Yeah.
That's so amazing. Well, this is great. The great conversation. I love your energy. You have
Thank
such
you.
great energy, and I think anybody who works with pets in the way you do, and just people that work at shelters, I think they have to be a certain type of a person.
Yeah, I
I
know.
mean,
Yeah.
as in a
And the way
open
people
heart.
treat pets really says a lot about who they are
Oh,
on the
yeah.
inside, child.
I agree.
Yeah, when I hear people say, "Oh, I don't like dogs," I'm like, don't want to be around you."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because there's such a vulnerability to animals, and so either people are afraid of that vulnerability or take advantage of it
Right.
or get it.
Yeah.
All right, so you can go to whataboutdaisy.com.
Yes.
Any other books planned, or going to wait for a while till?
I've been thinking about doing a book more along the lines of a pet lifestyle expert, 'cause people
Oh.
ask me a lot of times how I incorporate Daisy into our life, and so I'm looking at something like that.
You're one of the most grounded psychics I've ever met.
Really?
Yeah, that's
Thank you.
unusual. In our world, just so you know, it's very unusual. You're direct, you're grounded, you're coming from your heart chakra. Yeah, you got some woo-woo in there, but it is grounded in, rooted into heart energy.
Thank you.
So that's unusual. Most of us are like,
Well, I have
not
to
you.
meditate an hour every day.
wow, I'll do guided meditations.
You do?
Yeah, I probably have 30 guided meditations at home. I'm a
have to.
frazzled mess, so I'm going to
Yes.
sit under the oak tree and do my guided meditation.
Have you ever done thought about doing guided meditation for pet and pet owners?
Well, I teach a meditation class for people, and I think that's where it's got to start. The pets usually don't need the meditation, right?
Right. Right.
It's so
my
funny.
God, that's
Can I really quickly before you
Please.
go?
Of
It's so
course.
funny because I had growing up, my cats would always meditate with me, and I was always had a connection with animals that my animals would meditate with me, right? Well, when I got Olivia, who's Daisy's seeing eye dog, right? She's so earthly and so grounded and so not that. It was like a few weeks after I had her, and I was meditating. She came up and sat next to me, and I kind of opened my eyes to see what she'd do, and she sat the way I was and looked at the wall, and you could tell she went, I don't get it. And then she just walked away and never has meditated with me since. It's the funniest thing in the world.
That is hilarious. That's what we love about pets.
it is.
All right. Thank you, Miriam,
Thank you.
so much for being here. The crowd goes wild again. And we want to make sure you guys tune in next week, because we have the one and only from Ancient Aliens, Coast to Coast, Linda Moulton Howe. If you know her or don't know her, she's like the Angelina Jolie of ancient astronaut theorist. It's going to be amazing. So go to Truth Be Told, webtv.com. You can find out all the upcoming guests. On the 17th, we're going to do a Psychic Cafe. And so there's a lot of stuff coming up. So we appreciate it. And don't go anywhere. Stick around for the next show. There's no show after us. But starting next week, starting next week, Shar Margolis, Shar Vision, is going to debut. So you don't want to forget to tune in. All right. Thank you, guys. We'll see you next time on the other side.
Bye.